Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 30-Minute Gospel. My name is Chris, and I'll be your host as we open and study the Bible together. I'll be reading from the King James Version, but you can feel free to read whichever translation that best suits you. I would just recommend that you have a version that does not delete verses from God's holy word. Each video will be a biblical teaching of 30 minutes or less. My material is completely 100% free, so you can share these videos with family members, co-workers, friends, or anyone you know who either needs to hear the Word of God or wants to study it in a casual setting. The gospel is free to all, so I will not accept any donations, gifts, or beg viewers for money. Please give to your local church or a Christian organization of your choosing. You can reach out to me with questions or comments at 30minutegospel@gmail.com, but please keep your message respectful and cordial. Well, welcome again, everybody, to the 30-Minute Gospel. And we've been on a subject that I think has been a little bit, we've been saying it's been a little bit, it's been on about the Bible and your health, and how we've made it very, very clear that that God gave fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains to man at the beginning of creation. That's what we were supposed to eat. Okay, and he reiterates that in Genesis 3:18 when he says, "You shall eat the herb of the field." Shall is a command. You are commanded to eat fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. And as I said, you don't have to eat them. God does not force you. It's not a salvation issue. You're not going to go to hell because you don't eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. But if you don't, you will be sick. And I believe that probably 70%, if I had to guesstimate, 70% to 75% of the people that visit doctors every year for something, it's usually related to something in that they've been eating over a long period of time. You can go and see that in in the hospitals. Like, most people are there for strokes, heart attacks. Most of that stuff is caused because of stuff they've been eating, dietary choices and lifestyle choices they have made that have been detrimental to their health. And that is just the truth. It's not just some genetic thing. As I explained, there was in my last video, there was a cardiologist who said there are heart attacks, but they're very few and far between. Most of the time, we attack the heart and the heart gives up. And that's a truth. That is a truth that goes along there. But last time we left off, we were talking about how we are eating foods that really are not foods. They call it, sometimes they'll refer to it as SAD. Have you ever, some of you have heard, they call it the standard American diet. I heard another person call SAD as Satan's alternative diet. And I think that that's really what it gets into. It's just made us very, very sick as a society, very sick and very devoid of life, really, I would say, of life. What I mean by life is like we're living, but we're not living. You know what I mean? A lot of people are always sick, going to see the doctor, having to run this test, having to run that test. And as I said during this whole thing, this is not a salvation issue, okay, that we're discussing. These are just principles that you should be implementing. I'm not bad mouthing doctors. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not telling you to stop taking your medicine. Okay. But I think that if a lot of y'all would follow these principles, many of these problems would disappear. They would not exist. And many of y'all can clean it up just like I did. I was shocked to find out what happened with me. But like we left off, we were talking about last time bread and how it's not the God commands for us in Leviticus chapter 2 verses 1 through 10. He says he wants his offerings with fine flour. That's what they used. They used fine flour in the days of Moses, and in the ancient times, and even the time of Jesus. We were using fine flour even up until basically almost the Industrial Revolution, maybe even the last 100 years, 100, 125 years, somewhere in there. We started using Frankenstein bread and flour. It's not fine flour anymore. Fine wheat flour. Because what happens is that wheat has gluten in it. Okay? Gluten, glue, GLU, it means sticky substance. That's what it is. It's glue. Well, when you remove the fiber, they remove the fiber because the fiber keeps the bread, makes the bread spoil along with the yeast when it's mixed with yeast. So it causes the bread to spoil. So they remove the fiber and they give you something called white bread. Well, white bread still has the gluten in it, but not the fiber. The fiber is what gets the gluten out of your system. Okay, fiber helps you have bowel movements. But if you don't have the fiber in there, that stuff just becomes glue. Okay, as I explained, they used to use white flour to hang wallpaper with water. Used to hang it. It's glue, and it glues you up. That's what it does. It causes this. It causes stickiness to get all over your colon and everything. And as the time goes on, this builds up and builds up and builds up, along with the mucus that you get. Okay, and also there's another word that's glue. It's called glucose. That's sugar. Sugar sticks to things, means sticky. It sticks to things. So when you eat glucose sugar, like if you're eating like a lot of sugar, you drink a soda, that stuff sticks to your teeth. And when that stuff sticks to your teeth, the bacteria eat it and it forms plaque. Okay, that's what it forms. That's why you have to go to the dentist. That's why it destroys your teeth. When you swallow that, that plaque goes everywhere. Okay, sugar and all of this stuff creates mucus in your body. Okay, that's what it does. Most of y'all have ever experienced that. Have you ever been eating a candy bar or drinking a soda or something and you get that glob of mucus? You're like, it's already forming mucus. Mucus is a response of your body to inflammation to protect it. That's what it does. Your body produces mucus in your stomach to protect it from the stomach acid. That's what it does. The mucus is formed to protect the tissue from damage. Okay? Now you need the stomach acid. Your body naturally this produces this mucus for your stomach. It naturally does that. Okay, to protect it because you need stomach acid to digest your food. But it's producing it in other parts of like your intestines and on your and in your lungs and everywhere else where there's glucose that causes inflammation. We're going to talk more about sugar. Sugar. Well, let's just talk about sugar right now. Sugar is detrimental, not fructose and glucose that is inside of fruits and vegetables. That sugar is okay. The reason why that is okay is because God in his design has put it with fiber. So when it goes with fiber, it gets released slowly in your system, not spiking your insulin. Now the juice will. So you have to be careful with that. So if you're getting orange juice, for example, that will spike your insulin because there is no fiber. But the fiber that's there will prevent the sugar from spiking up in your body. Okay, that fiber prevents the sugar from spiking insulin in your body and throwing your body into chaos. Okay, but when you drink regular sugar, I don't know if any of y'all know this. Sugar is actually in that form, especially in the processed sugars, it is poison. It can be poisonous to your body. If your body didn't do what it does when you eat that stuff, you would die. It's that simple. Insulin protects you from that. It's just like this. You got to look at insulin like this. If I was to drink poison or eat something and get food poisoning, what does my body do? My body throws up, right? We throw it up, or we have diarrhea. The body gets rid of it as fast as it can. That's your body's reaction to poison. Okay? Well, think of insulin like throwing up. That's basically what it is. Insulin, when you spike it like that, if the insulin didn't come in to push the sugar out of the bloodstream, you die immediately. That's why it's so dangerous when you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, because insulin has stopped working. When you have type 1 diabetes, when you eat food that comes in, it's spiking the insulin so much, but you don't have any insulin. So then, like if you have type 1, you have to take the shot of insulin to prevent that sugar from killing you. Okay? Sugar suppresses your immune system. That's what it does. One soda they say can suppress your immune system for up to 8 hours. Okay? If you have 3 of those a day, it's 24 hours. Your immune system's down. Okay? Do you think it's any wonder that we start eating all the sugar stuff in Thanksgiving, and then we eat it throughout the Christmas holiday? Then once the Christmas holiday is, what happens? Boom, there's a spike in the influenza virus and colds and flus. Why? Because we've suppressed our immune system. We've made it ripe for it. And so the colds breed better in the cold, cold viruses breed better in colder environments than like the flu does, and it comes right in and starts doing its damage because your immune system is down. From what? The cookies, the cakes, the fruit cakes, or what, all the pies and all that stuff, the Christmas cookies that you've been eating. That sugar has suppressed the immune system. And on top of that, what it's doing is it's producing mucus. Have you guys ever had a cold and then, like, let's say it's a cold and it's like it's lasted, and maybe even the flu. We'll even use the flu because it's a little bit worse. But you ever had a flu and you start feeling better maybe after a couple of days, but it seems like you keep producing mucus for like weeks and weeks and weeks after that? Well, there's a reason for that. The reason is you feel great. Your body's fighting it off. And sometimes the mucus is clear, which when mucus is clear, that means you're not fighting anything off anymore. The mucus is clear. If it's not neon yellow, brown, all that color, you ain't fighting anything off. It's clear. Why is it clear? Well, because when you were sick, you were eating a little bit healthier, maybe chicken noodle soup, or you weren't eating at all and stuff like that. So your body was able to fight it off. So your body produces mucus for the inflammation and the foreign invader to get rid of it. Well, now you're feeling better. So what does naturally everybody start doing? Everybody starts going back to eating the way that they did, which is all mucus forming foods. They'll go back to start eating, French fries and ketchup and eating sugary stuff. And guess what all that stuff does? It produces mucus. You're still producing mucus from probably a little bit of mucus from the cold still, but now you're adding this stuff, so now it's producing even more. Now it's like double the mucus. And that's why it seems to keep lingering on and on. The cold's gone, the flu is gone, but why do you still have all this mucus? It's because you're eating the food and it's producing the mucus. Normally it would produce a little bit of mucus when you eat these foods, but you're eating that plus the mucus that's on top of that. That's why you have all this mucus and it doesn't seem like you can get out. And you're coughing all the time. You're trying to get this stuff out. Okay? So that's why it happens. And so we eat very poorly in the cold in the cold environments, and then then the viruses come because our immune system is down. That's what it is. It's because of the sugar. Sugar is very dangerous. You've got to be very, very careful with it. Is it okay to eat sugar occasionally? Yes, it is. But sugar's in all the foods. It's under maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, sugar. It's under lots of different things. That's why you have to read labels. It's very important to read labels and find out where it is. Eat as little sugar as possible, and if you do eat it mostly in fruits. Now, is it okay to occasionally have a piece of cake on your birthday? Yes. Is it okay to have a soda every now and again? Yes, but just be aware when you do that, You have set yourself up. If you decide I'm going to drink a soda, I'm going to drink, whichever one, and those sodas have got 35 to 40 grams of sugar. You drink that, know that your immune system's going to be down for 8 hours. Almost every time that I've ever been able to trace a cold or something or sinus thing over the last 6 or 7 years, I can always trace it back to a time I had sugar or something like that. I had a brownie or something, like it was my birthday. I had a brownie, and then like 3 or 4 days later, there I am sick. Okay, so this mucus forms, and it formed from the sugar, because sugar is highly inflammatory. It's very acidic. So it forms mucus the body performs mucus to protect itself along the lining of the throat. You'll feel it in the stomach and all this, but it also forms in the intestinal wall. Some other foods can cause this same effect. If you eat too much dairy, if you eat processed foods or anything, any acidic foods, very very damaging to the body, that cause inflammation. Any of those foods, chocolate may be one. You eat those, the body will produce mucus in the intestinal tract in little layers, and over time those layers get a little bit more, 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 a little bit more. Okay, and it's one layer after the other, and then that mucus starts hardening there. It's called mucoid plaque. Okay, which shrinks the size of the colon. So then people will have bowel movements, and they can't have bowel movements. It gets blocked up, or they're having very thin, pencil thin ones they call very thin bowel movements. That's not good. They got to get the mucoid plaque off of there. Okay, and then what starts sticking up there, that mucoid plaque, is some fecal matter will start sticking up there, and then maybe you get a parasite, and parasites, there's a bunch of it in there, they'll go live up there, and they won't be moved, and this can lead to sickness and disease and all this other stuff. That's why sugar is so damaging. I would recommend not getting sugar. I eat sugar very little. My kids mostly eat fruit sugars. I will let them have something here and there, because they're younger. But we try not to have as much sugar. Sugar is very, very damaging to the system. Sugar is the cause of type 2 diabetes. It's people eating too much sugar. Okay, and you'll see that that's the point, is you'll see people with type 2 diabetes, and they'll say my diabetes is out of control. No, what's out of control usually is your eating, your sugar eating. Especially if you have type 2. If you have type 1, if you start eating healthier, um, and start eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, that'll go away. Okay, so that's why it's glue. That stickiness, that glue. It's just it. That's what is glucose, gluten. It's in the words. It's stickiness. It's causing you to be bound up, and it's inflammatory to the system. You just have to be careful with it. You see, the fiber is what gets the gluten through your body. Okay, that's what gets it through there. Artificial sweeteners aren't any. Those are poisons. You should not be doing that. Stevia is a very good option. Very good sweetener. If you can't get cane sugar, it's okay in small amounts. You got to be careful, because sometimes they'll have sodas that say, "Hey, made with cane sugar." Okay, but they still put too much cane sugar. It may be organic, but they still put too much in it. Okay, so I have on here, getting past that, eating of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains was not part of the law. I want to make that very, very clear. A lot of Christians today will say, well, we're not under the law. We're not having to be restricted by the dietary laws. But as I explained, the dietary laws that Moses did, Jesus got rid, as they say, in it's Galatians 3:13, he got rid of the curse of the law. What's the law? That's the law of Moses. The law of Moses only deals, when it comes to dietary, it only deals with what meats you can eat. It does not say anything about fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. The only other time God requires anything dietary is in the Passover meal. He requires at the Passover meal for you to have lamb, a piece of lamb. He required the Israelites to have a piece of lamb, unleavened bread, and bitter herbs. That's your vegetable, your carb, and your meat. That's what he required. But when it comes to meat, which we're going to talk about, hopefully maybe in this video or the next video, but the law dealt with what meat you can eat. This principle was implemented way before the law. This was implemented at the beginning. So God, even though we are no longer under the curse of the law, God still expects you to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. Okay? And I don't care how many times you can pray over something 100 times. You can pray over I'm using Twinkie as an example. You can pray over this. I hear Christians say it all the time. Please bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies. And I've said it too. I'll say that even with the meal. But I don't care how many times you say that. That Twinkie is not going to nourish your body. It's not. Doesn't have what God says you're supposed to have. It's not going to nourish your bodies. You can pray that over your pumpkin pie. It's not going to nourish your body. There may be a little bit in there that can nourish it. Because, if you have like an apple pumpkin pie, it does have some things in it. But that sugar is going to damage you. That enriched, bleached flour is going to damage you. Okay? That's going to do far more damage than any benefit you can get from it. There is something in a Twinkie, maybe like some wheat or something. There may be some vitamins. Skittles, for example, have like a pack of Skittles have got 50% of your vitamin C. Okay, well that's great. It's not going to nourish your body. It's going to do far more damage. All that sugar, all those dyes, all that is going to do far more damage to your body than that little bit of vitamin C is going to help you. It's just the fact. You can pray over those Skittles, say please. That blessing is really only supposed to be for any foods that God has provided for you, just in case. Please bless this food and nourish my body, just in case there might be something on there that could cause damage to your body, like maybe you didn't wash the vegetables and there's possibly a parasite or a amoeba or something like that that's on there that could cause damage. You're praying over that food that it will not hurt your body. But it does not matter. You can try to cast the calories out of some food. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's just not going to nourish your body. It's not. You can pray that prayer all you want over Twinkie. God is not changing that law. God has set up a law. He set up a law. You are supposed to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. He set that up at the beginning. That's a law. He's not going to change the law for you. It's a natural law, just like the law of gravity. He set up the law of gravity from the beginning. You can sit there and say, well, I'm not under the law, so I'm just going to walk right off this cliff. Fine, gravity is going to take effect. He's not going to change gravity for you. He's not. That's his law. He expects you to know that. Okay? He's not going to change the law. He made the rule. You are supposed to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. You shall eat the herb of the field. I've given these for food. Now you can go against it, but you're going to be sick. There's going to be a consequence. There's going to be it says God is not mocked. What you reap, or what you sow, you shall reap. If you've been eating junk food, you're going to reap poor health. If you have been sowing fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, you will reap good health. Now, of course, granted, there are some exceptions in there, but that is mostly true. Okay? So eating this stuff was expected. It was expected of you to eat this. This is not part of the law. Just like the Genesis 12:3 curse. I will bless those that bless thee, and I will curse those that curse thee. That was established before the law. That curse is still in effect. The curse of the earth is still in effect. Okay? So what God had implemented in Genesis is still in effect. All right? Jesus got rid of everything from Exodus to Malachi. That's what he did. Okay, that's what he got rid of the curse of the laws. That's what he did. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains were always there. Okay, he was expected for us to eat. The dietary laws dealt with what types of meat the Israelites could eat. Fruits and vegetables are not mentioned in it. Go read those chapters in Leviticus. They're they're there. Now I want you to understand that there's only two places where God ever tells us to cook anything. He told you to cook meat in Leviticus 2 and 3 and bread. You can read those. In Leviticus 2 and 3, you were to cook meats and bread. That was it. He expect the other things. So how are you supposed to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains? Raw. Now, is it okay to cook those things? Yes. Yes, it's okay to cook it. It's fine. When you cook it, though, you destroy a lot of the good qualities of it. Like a lot of some of the digestive enzymes are broken down and they don't work, or some of the vitamins and minerals are lost in the cooking process. But you can cook them. Sometimes people can't take all raw, but sometimes it's hard for me to do that too. But you're supposed to eat them raw. Why? Because all the nutrients are available when you eat it raw. Most all animal no animals cook their food. They all eat it raw. Cows and everything. That's where you're going to get the most nourishment. Okay? Now, that's the one thing you're supposed to eat this. All right? You're supposed to eat it. You're supposed to eat the apple. Notice God didn't say take the apple, cut it up, pour a bunch of high fructose corn syrup on it, put it in a pie crust and eat it as a pie. That's not what God instructed you to do. Can you do that? Yes, but if you do that, you're going to be sick. Okay? Do I like apple pie? Sure. I do. Occasionally, maybe, like on my birthday or something, but not all the time. Okay? And I'll kind of end this video on this. I remember one time I went over to someone's house. It was a family member. And the family member had made me peach cobbler. Okay? They had made peach cobbler. And so what happened was I was like, "Oh, this is great, peach cobbler." And oh, okay. And then we went back a couple weeks later, and there was another peach cobbler. And I was like, "We just had peach cobbler." And the relative said, "Well, I made it for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Why'd you make peach cobbler? We just had it." And the relative said, "Well, I had all these extra peaches, and I didn't know what to do with them." You're supposed to eat them. That's what you're supposed to do with them. You don't need to put them in a cobbler or in a pie or in a chutney. That you don't need to do that. You're supposed to just eat them. We've forgotten that. It's like the only time we can eat fruit is when it's in a dessert of some sort. You're supposed to just eat them. It's what you're supposed to do with them. Okay? They should be eaten raw if you can. But I know there can be problems with that. But if you eat the more raw you eat the fruits and vegetables, like in a salad or something like that, the better off it is. Okay. All right. We'll leave it off there. Next one, I promise y'all, we'll get into the meat category in the next video. I still eat meat, so I'm not going to be telling you need to be a vegetarian, but these are just health principles that you can go with. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in again. Once again, if you need to, if you, I'll recommend for y'all if you'll hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. That would be great, so you can get my material and everything and help get this video shown. And please share this video with anybody you may know, and my stuff is completely free, so you can do that. If you need to reach me, my email is 30minutegospel@gmail.com. That 30 is a 30. Okay, so it's 30minutegospel@gmail.com. Please don't write any vile or nasty remarks. I'm just not going to read them. Okay? All right. It was great to have you all with us, and I'll leave you with this. Remember, just as Theodore Roosevelt once said, a thorough knowledge of the Bible is worth more than a college education. God bless you all.